Having looked at the Boardwalk Velocity platform, let's spend some time understanding the Boardwalk architecture stack. Boardwalk uses a multi-tier architecture where Microsoft SQL Server is the database layer, the middle tier can be either Tomcat or WebSphere, acting as a servlet engine, and the client typically is an Excel workbook. The database layer is the Boardwalk application engine, where the data tables or cuboids are stored. All query processing is done at the database layer. This is where all query processing is done and all transactional data is stored. The servlet engine is responsible for managing the version of the data being passed to and from the database to the client. It also manages the access control on the data layer. Group and user management and authentication is also handled by this layer. Both the server and middle layers can be in the cloud or behind an organization's firewall. The client can be an Excel template with Boardwalktech's macros that manage communications between the client and the servlet engine. Boardwalk has pre-configured Excel workbooks that allow the users to quickly onboard an Excel-based applications, called the Accelerator, containing Boardwalk's design framework. A web browser can also be the client with access to the data, connecting via the servlet engine. All communications between the client and the server are secure using the HTTPS protocol, exchanging only net changes between the client and the server. The amount of data that is brought to the client is termed as the work slice. This can be a subset of the data that is stored within the database, depending on a preset criteria or based on the user's choices. There are 5 major functions that the platform uses to communicate between the client and the server. These are link export, link import, submit, refresh, and transactional history. The function link export exports the data from the spreadsheet to the database to create a new Boardwalk table on the server. The link import process brings the data from the SQL Server to the client, in this case the worksheet, that the Boardwalk table is connected to. The submit process sends net changes from the client to the server. Refresh is the function to bring any changes to the data that are on the server when compared to the client worksheet from the SQL Server. Typically, these changes are made by other people. Only net changes are brought from the server to the client. Transactional history is where you can query the database for any changes that were made to a client cell or a row or to the worksheet itself. We will talk more about these functions in future sessions. A spreadsheet is two-dimensional, having rows and columns, or a fixed rectangular range of cells. In short, all operations in Boardwalk are on ranges of data. Boardwalktech stores the data at the cell level, keeping the row and column identity, preserving the sequence in which the data appears on the worksheet. Since the data is stored at the cell level, we can add user and time dimensions to the data, i.e., who made the change and at what time, which lends to the audit trail of the data.